Welcome back, everybody. Episode 24.
That's the one. That's the one.
Oh, I see it there. Episode 24 of the Man Knows Hip Hop podcast with me, your boy Slack, and my co-host extraordinaire up in the building as per usual.
E Major here again. Man Knows Hip Hop, the podcast that knows and celebrates hip hop. Slack, we saying, bro.
All good, brother. Can't complain. You know what I mean? Out here, healthy, paying £2 a litre for fuel. Gas prices are through the roof. Electric prices are through the roof. You know what I mean? Loving life, bro. Loving life.
That's it, man. We're here, man.
So today, the topic of discussion is going to be fans versus stans.
Mm-hmm.
The bottom line is, I'm done with you stans. Done. Finished. And we want to discuss the difference and how a detrimental impact having super fans within hip hop is, because I ain't gonna lie, man, stans are like cockroaches to me. I wish I had like some kind of raid to get rid of them. Like it's horrible. Grown adults being stans of an artist is just not something I ever thought I'd see in hip hop, but here we are. How do you feel about the difference between a fan and a stan?
Boy, you know what? Let's switch it up a little bit. Let's talk about where it came from. Let's talk about that. So,
okay. But when I asked you for the difference, the definition, what is your definition?
Oh, okay, got you.
And what is your definition of a stan? And then we can go into the origins of where it all started.
So, I mean, to bring Eminem into it, we're going to need to, do you know what I mean, to really define what a stan is. Because if you're looking at where it came from, do you know what I'm saying, came from the man himself, do you know what I mean? So if I had to kind of put a definition of it, I'd have to go by, I'm not saying he introduced the word stan, but he brought it into the culture, meaning what it means.
I don't think I heard it before that song.
Yeah, exactly. Apart from the actual name, do you know what I'm saying? We know you watch the video and that the guy's name is Standy, you know what I'm saying? So then he wants to be called Stan. We know that. So Eminem brought it into the culture, meaning what it means. Do you know what I mean? So looking at Stan, the way Eminem brought it in and his definition and his song and the video and everything like that, then it's someone in my eyes that I define as you've gone beyond being a fan now. Like you're obsessed with that person. Yeah. And we need to break it down a little bit as well, because that's what we want this podcast to be. You know what I mean? It's not just us ranting, but we like to kind of bring a little bit of understanding as well. And I hear a lot of people say things like, oh, stan and shit, you can do no wrong in their eyes. You actually can, because if you look at Eminem's definition, Stan was pissed off at Eminem. You see what I'm saying? And he weren't like he was angry with him to the point where he's tearing down posters and all that. Do you know what I mean? So he can do wrong in his eyes, but you need to understand what that wrong was. Because of his almost narcissistic obsession with him, it had to be all about him. You see what I'm saying? So when it didn't become all about him, that's when the anger came in, the frustration and blah, blah, blah. So to answer your question in a nutshell, I'd say the definition of a stan is someone who has an unhealthy relationship or unhealthy obsession towards an artist of their choice. In a nutshell, unhealthy obsession.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
How would you break it down?
A fan for me is someone who is a fan. I don't call myself a fan of anybody. I would refer to myself as a supporter. If I like your music, I will support your stuff. I'll buy your stuff. I'll tell people about your stuff. I'll go to your shows, and I'll support your career, which I've done for many, many years now in hip hop. For a stan, then you've got mental issues. It's as simple as that. If you're obsessing about, someone that doesn't know that you're alive, doesn't care that you're alive, and everything you do revolves around them, like you're dedicating fan pages to them, and everything you say and do is revolving around them, that's not healthy at all. And the reason that the song Stan exists is because of the unhealthy nature of being an obsessed fan. So the way that people took the word or the name Stan and kind of tried to make it into a positive was always very weird to me. Judging by how the song went, the song was very like haunting, dark. Like, first time I heard that song, I was like, Jesus. I thought it was an amazing song, but like the writing, the story, everything about it was next level to me. But now people have taken that meaning and tried to flip it into, yeah, I'm a stan. Like grown people who are paying bills, looking after kids, calling yourself a stan of an artist is disgusting, horrible. I'm constantly on the timeline, like poking them in the eye and stuff like that. Like when I tweet about Eminem and stuff like that, I'm not tweeting because I give really two shits about Eminem as an artist, because I don't really anymore, if I'm honest. I've got no problems with the guy. I think he's a talented rapper, but now his music to the point of I can't get through a song because I just think it's painful.
Exactly the same.
I've got no issues with the man himself. Like he's a student of hip hop. He respects hip hop. And that's all that we ask. You know what I mean? He calls himself a guest of hip hop. Like that's come out of his own mouth. He said that he's a guest. He's a student, and I respect anybody who respects hip hop. If you don't care where you're from, if you love and respect hip hop, then welcome. If you don't, like his stands, like a lot of his stands only listen to Eminem. And at some point in the discussion, I think we're going to have to address the fact that when a lot of people tweet about Eminem, and the only reason that I even bother engaging in this stuff is because a lot of the people that are championing Eminem as being the king, the greatest, blah blah blah, it's racially based. It's racially motivated, and that's the only reason I ever acknowledge these people, because I'm just making them holding up a mirror like, is this what you're telling me? Because we've seen this before. We've seen this in music. Elvis. You know what I mean? They're calling him the king, this and that. He stole music of black people. He stole dance moves of black people, all this kind of stuff. But then they're calling him the king because he's the white face of it. And that's literally what's happening now with Eminem. Like he's the white face, you know what I mean, that people would look to. And he said himself, if I wasn't white, I would have sold half. He knows, he's very aware, very cognizant of his position in hip hop. So it's those stands that I have an issue with. It's not Eminem at all. Like, I've got no problem with the guy. As I said, he's very respectful. He knows his place in hip hop. He knows what he's contributed to the culture. And let's be honest, like he's contributed a hell of a lot. He's carved out a career he never thought he'd have. Hip hop saved his life. He said it himself, and he respects it. So I respect him for that. It's his fans, his stands that I can't tolerate. So for me, fan stroke supporter is someone who likes, supports an artist, buys their shit, goes to their shows, whatever, tells your people about them, as I do. As I'll hit you up and be like, have you heard this or whatever. Stan, totally different concept. Obsession, to the point of nausea, pissing everyone else off. Everything that you say has to go back to this person. Everything they've done is a classic. I saw some guy saying Encore was a classic, and MMLP2 was a classic, and Kamikaze was a classic, and I'm just like, you know what I mean? You can't ever have a debate or a discussion with these kind of people, because they're so deluded, so far up their own asses, that you can't even have a discussion, because everything that you say is going to be like, but, or you're talking to kids that you wouldn't ever talk to in real life. So I just block it, because I don't want to get into no kind of argument. You know what I mean? So I kind of touched on my thoughts of the song, where the whole name Stan came about and stuff like that. What did you think when you first heard the song, and what the word Stan has now transformed into in hip hop?
Like you said, when I first heard it, I thought it was incredible, man. What was it? 2000. It was Christmas #1.
Yeah, that's right.
And I remember thinking, right, a song like that is Christmas #1. I know we went on to hear bare dark songs be Christmas #1, but for me at that time, I ain't used to songs like that being Christmas.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting that to stay #1. You're right. I remember that.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, it was a dark song. For me, I think Eminem, I've said it many times before. His album, the Slim Shady, Marshall Mathers, Eminem Show, those three for me, I think they're fantastic albums. like you said, after that, I struggle to listen to him. I take nothing away from him now. I think he's an incredible MC, lyricist, creative, talented, and Stan for me is one of the greatest storytelling songs I think I've heard in hip hop. Not saying the best, definitely one of, for me personally. When I heard that song for the first time, I was hooked. That was the same as putting in a DVD or going to the cinema and watching a film. Do you know what I mean? For me, it was captivating. I think he done it tremendously. The way he maneuvered through the song, you know, even like if you're looking at the video, the beginning when Dido, Stanley's girl, is saying, "Oh, you're taking it too far," and the way he's cutting his hair and dyeing it and all of that, and then he's writing, and the way he's writing in the tone of like, you know, I just want to meet you, and he's talking about his brother and everything, and then with each verse he's getting more and more aggravated because he hasn't got a response to the point where he's like, "There, Mister, I'm too cool to what is it, call or write, bro." I just thought it was done amazingly, man. And with the pencil scratches throughout the whole thing, I think it's a 5 mic song. You know what I mean? It's an incredible song, and I just love what it's become in a sense of, you know what, bro? As a hip hop artist, that's what you want to do, innit? You want to make whether it's an album or a song or a comment or a statement or something that becomes a staple, that becomes something constantly used in hip hop now, whether it's like good or bad. Say that again.
Like ether, like people say, "Oh, you got
exactly
ether."
Exactly that. So you want to do things that even after the song's come and gone, it's something that stays. And Stan is even in the dictionary now. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like a part of like vocabulary. So the impact that the song made is a classic impact, man. It's insane. But the thing that makes me laugh about the song is that when you listen to a song like that, and off the same album, you listen to The Way I Am, you can feel, remember, this was his second album. He was probably I don't know if he was the biggest he's ever been at that point, but
he was
the biggest he had ever been up to that point, definitely.
Yeah.
He was huge, right? And you can feel his frustration. He's like, "Man, I'm just out with my daughter. I'm just trying to do this. I'm trying to almost like leave me alone at times." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he was huge. He writes, I don't know whether he wrote Stan before he wrote The Way I Am, but the point I'm making is that he writes a song like Stan to the point where people who call themselves Stans or unknowingly are Stans, they don't realize that the mockery that they're making of themselves. Like the song is a diss to you. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like he's telling you, chill out, calm down. Even in a song, he's saying, "Why are you talking about doing all of this stuff that I talk about in songs? I'm messing about. I ain't really doing that. You think I've really got my baby mama in the boot, or like, just chill out." You know what I'm saying? And I think there's a lesson to be learned from that song, man. Don't take everything you hear so seriously, man. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, brilliant song to answer your question. And I still don't get bored of it. To be honest, I played the Marshall Mathers LP a few days ago, and that was the first time I'd played it in a very long time. And even when Stan came on, I'm still like, this song is actually insane. It's actually incredible. You know what I mean? So yeah, fantastic song, man. And the impact it's made on the culture is undeniable. Do you know what I'm saying? Undeniable. Like Eminem, dislike him, whatever you want. We all recognize what a Stan is. So that's the impact he's made on the culture. Do you know what I'm saying? Very important song, man. At an important time.
Yeah, it is. But I think that kind of, I echo what you say for the song, for sure. Right? No doubt about it. He was going through a phase of, as you said, leave me alone. There was that song with Exhibit, Don't Approach Me. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about, like, again, like crazy fans, like running up on him when he's his daughter and stuff like that. So he's been writing songs about fandom and standom for what 20 plus years now. You know, that was 20 years ago. So the fact that people have latched onto that it just makes everything a little bit more insane to me. Like, I just don't understand where it's coming from. With regard to Stanism on the culture of hip hop itself, how do you feel that impacts hip hop negatively, positively. I've got my thoughts on it, but I'll save it until you've said your piece.
You know what? It's a negative impact. Do you know what I'm saying? Let me use football as an example, right? I don't follow it like that in a sense where I couldn't name you like all the players of a team and everything like that, but I like it. You know what I'm saying? Someone said to me once, "What team do you support?" Now, to go back to your example of being a fan and a supporter, whenever people ask me what team I support, I always say, you know what, Arsenal, but I'm more of a fan than a supporter. The reason I say that is because I couldn't name you the whole squad. I'll probably tell you where they finished in the last league. Or, well, there you go. Look at that. There you go. Right.
Sign shit up, people.
All right. There you go. So, you know what I mean? I mean, if you go upstairs, I've got bare Arsenal shirts up there and that. Like, but I'd say I'm a fan because I don't know everything about them in the sense of that. Like I said, I couldn't name the whole squad. I don't watch every game. You know what I mean? So that's why I'd say I'm more of a fan than a supporter because there is a difference. You see what I'm saying? And I think it's the same with hip hop, right? You need to recognize where you fit in and where you are. Now, the thing that, let me say this, man. Do you know how much times I tweet stuff? And then sometimes I love interaction. I love talking to people. That's why we do it. You don't tweet to send out blank tweets, do you? You want interaction. You like talking to people. You've got a few people that you always like talking with. We know it. That's how it is. But sometimes I put things out there, and sometimes the responses I get annoy me, man, because it's like, seriously, man, it's like, you know what?
Don't get me started.
Like, bro, like, don't get me wrong, for 90% of it, the interaction's great, the conversation's cool, do you know what I mean? But you'll get some people that just don't know how to have a conversation. You see what I'm saying? They'll read your tweet. They're not reading it to interact.
They'll
they're
pick
doing it
out
just to have a comeback. Oh, you forgot this, or oh, well, what about this, or what?
I had that today. I literally had that today.
I had it today, bare times.
I put up a picture of Kane and G Rap, and someone's like, "Oh, don't forget about Rakim." What the fuck are you talking about, bro? Like, there's two people in the picture. Rakim ain't there. Like, no one's talking about Rakim. No one's diminishing him either.
Yeah,
you can't even
the whole. Yeah, you're not including a whole hip hop race in the picture. You're just putting out the picture. So
if I include Rakim, I have to include Chuck D. I have to include KRS.
This is what I mean. There's always going to be someone.
There's always going to be someone. Like, just shut the fuck up. Let
There's
people
always just interact, man. Like, just converse. Like, up to this day, if I put a J post up, someone's gonna come back with some Nas rebuttal. I'm not talking about Stillmatic. I'm not talking about Illmatic. I'm not talking about Ether. I'm just saying something about Jay-Z right now. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, this could be a whole topic in itself, to be honest. But yeah, the thing that I feel like Stanism has done, it's almost robbed people's ability to have normal conversations. I remember one time I put on the timeline that Jay-Z was the GOAT for me, my GOAT, yeah. And someone was like, "Oh wow, I didn't know that Jay-Z was your GOAT." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." And it was like, "You know why I didn't know?" I was like, "No." And they said, "Because you don't come across as someone who would have Jay-Z as their GOAT." I said, I don't get what you're saying. And they said, because usually most people that have Jay-Z as their favorite MC are very obnoxious and don't want to hear nothing else about any other MC. I'm like, but I don't get it. Why you would be like that? If he does something I ain't feeling it. And I'm going to say that very clearly. Like, that's someone who was like, yes, I like this, but I don't like that about that artist, or don't like that song, I don't like that album. I gave Blueprint 4.5 mics. People's like, how can you not give that 5 mics? Because there's 2 songs that I can easily skip. So how can I give it for personal ranking? How can I give it 5 mics if there's 2 songs that I can do without hearing? So I think what Stanism has done to the culture, people don't know how to have just normal conversations anymore, like, because they're not hearing what you're saying. If it's their artist that they're standing over, then they can't be wrong, or it can't be unenjoyable. It's always going to be a classic. It's always brilliant. Well, they meant this, they meant that. They're better than every other MC. Everything they've done, it's bro. And I can't converse with people like that. And I feel like people just lost the ability to just enjoy music for what it is, have a good little back and forth, maybe say, yeah, you can't, people are unreasonable, like you can't reason with them. And I think to the culture has brought a horrible stain on it. Last thing I'll say, Eminem, like you rightly said at the beginning, he said he's a student of hip hop. He considers himself as a guest. To echo you again, I have no problem with Eminem, right? I remember when he was on an interview with Sway, and he brought an old record out of Sway's for him to sign it. And Sway was like, where did you get that from?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And he said, I'm a fan. You remember? He was like, listen, I love hip hop, man. And he signed the thing from the thing I like about Eminem, right? Is that he has no problem praising other MCs. He has no problem rapping a quote. Every time you see Eminem, he's in a hip hop t-shirt of some other band or some other artist. You see what I'm saying? He loves hip hop and he studies hip hop.
He's like Tretch, Redman, Ace. He'll give props.
And he's always done it.
Always,
never. He's always done it, right? Yeah. So that's the dope thing. But what I'm saying is that what Stan culture does, not just Eminem's fans. Shout out to Kill. I love the way he's always got Stan names for every artist, right? but what Stanism does, it puts you off the artist because of their fans, because of their stans. Right. I don't have a problem with Eminem, but I have a problem with his stans. I don't have a problem with Kendrick. I have a problem with his stans, though. You see what I'm saying? Right. God forbid you say something against Eminem, Lil' Kim, or there's certain artists that if you say anything against them, bro, just retire your Twitter account because the stans are coming for you in full force. You know what I mean?
Let me tell you something right now,
that, bro.
I got smoke for any stan. I don't give a fuck what artist it is.
You know me. I don't have the energy for that, bro. You know me. I don't have the energy for that.
Brother, your sister, I don't care. Like, there's nothing you could tell me that's going to put me off an app on my phone that I could just delete at any point in time. Like, there's nothing you could tell me. I'm never going to see you. You're never going to see me. I'll tell you what I think about you, and I'll tell you that to your face too. So whatever I say out there,
don't you ever feel like, I know what you're going to say now, obviously, because of what you just said, but I was going to say, don't you ever feel like sometimes you want to say something about an artist? It's not negative. You just want to say something about an artist sometimes, and you think, just the word alone of their name brings all the stands out. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like saying Candyman in the mirror 5 times. You know what I mean? It's like, I ain't even going to say it.
No, I don't care. And the reason being is, like, if you say Nicki Minaj's name, you get all these little 10-year-olds coming out saying something about bars, and you don't know fuck all about bars. Just shut up. So, in a way, it's a good cleanser, because if you put out a tweet and you get all these dickheads replying, you know that you don't ever want to interact with these people, so you can go through, block them all. It actually works quite nicely. My thoughts about stanery on the culture is, I've got a few thoughts about it. The first one being is we wouldn't talk to these people generally. Like, if we never had access to an app where we get to talk to these kind of dickheads, I wouldn't know that they existed, because I don't keep those kind of people around me. We can have an objective conversation about any rapper, as we've been doing since we was kids, since we were in school, where you have an artist and someone will be like, nah, he's not that, this person's that. But there was never any stands to my knowledge. Everyone was like, this album was dope. The second album cut. Remember the Sophomore Slump? Do you remember how many artists have had the Sophomore Slump?
100.
Loads of them. And we were cool to, when Nas dropped It Was Written, right? And I don't give a fuck what nobody says on Twitter or whatever. When It Was Written came out, people were pissed. Like, let's keep it real. People were angry because it was Trap Masters. It was the Street Dreams video came out. He was in fucking suits and all this shit.
Bro, I liked it, man. We've had this thing. I loved it.
People like, where's Illmatic Nas? What's all this Street Dreams and all these shiny production and stuff like that? I remember playing that album and I was like, all right. I wasn't happy, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. There were songs I liked, but overall, comparing that, I swear to God, the first time I played the album, the first thing I did was take it out of the CD player and put Illmatic in. I'm not even joking. I didn't like it, right? It took time for me to gravitate to that album. And I've got no problem admitting that. Even up to this day, I say it's a good album, but it's nowhere near my favorite Nas album, because I don't like a lot of the beats on there. I don't like the singles. I didn't like Viral the World. I didn't like Nas Is Coming. I didn't like Street Dreams. So out of like however many songs, there's a few that I would skip with impunity. I don't care. I don't like it, right? But Nas is a great claim to be the greatest who's ever rapped into a microphone, right? Him, Cool G, and the usual suspects. But Nas is up there. I don't care what anybody says. Nas is high on that list, right? For me personally too. What he's doing now in 2021, 2022, he's still out doing shows. He's still recited all his bars like to perfection. He's still dropping music with his chosen producer. What can you say to the man? You know what I mean? He's literally done everything, and he's only doing it for his love of the culture. So me, I'm a big fan of Nas, but can I say he's dropped a load of shit at times? Yes. He said it himself. They asked him about what song do you wish you didn't record. He said Dr. Knockboot. I wish he didn't record Dr. Knockboot. But because I'm not a fan of his, I can happily say you shouldn't have done that, bro, because that was a horrible song. Braveheart Party was a horrible song. You can go back through, like there's certain albums he should have cut the fat, cut a few songs off, it would have been a lot better. A stan can't have an objective conversation like that.
Right, exactly.
They would say every single thing that this person has done is the best. And what the second part of my thought process on that is, a lot of the people that talk about this stuff don't care about hip hop, don't know hip hop, don't love hip hop, don't buy the music, don't talk about it, don't live it, don't do fuck all about it, because all you do is listen to Eminem. That's all you do. And we know who we're talking about. We're talking about teenagers in the middle of nowhere who probably have never seen a black person in real life, who feel comfortable. I'm not even joking. Like I'm pretty sure there's people over there who's never interacted with a black person. The only thought they have of a black person is violence, is gun crime, is drug selling, is having multiple kids. You know what I mean? All that kind of stereotypical bullshit, until you actually meet a black person, be like, oh, Jamal isn't actually that bad. I was quite surprised. You know what I mean? So these are the people I would never talk to in a million years in real life. So why am I going to talk to you on Twitter about it? You know what I mean? Because I know what you're all about. The reason you support this guy is because he's white. That's not fuck about. That's a fact. This is the reason you are up this guy's ass, because you want him to be the pinnacle of hip hop. And because you don't know anything about hip hop and he's the only one you listen to, then yeah, you're going to say that he's the best, he's the greatest, he's this, he's that. But if we're being completely honest, you alluded to it earlier. If you have brought out, Game said it the other day as well, and you know I don't fuck with anything Game says, but what he said was facts. If you've got a 17 album or whatever discography, and out of all those albums, you've only got 3 that people can say, yeah, that's your peak or whatever. How are you still claiming to be the greatest of all time? That's just not possible. That's like saying Jordan played 3 good games back in the 80s. He's the greatest of all time. It doesn't work exactly like that. You're inconsistent. You haven't dropped a quality project. You've dropped an okay project, but you haven't dropped a quality project since 2002. That's 20 years ago. And if we're being honest, all the people that say that Relapse is a classic, what are you listening to? That is an awful album.
He'll tell you the same.
Considering Dre did the production on the album as well, he did like 8% of those beats. That album is horrible to me. Unlistenable. Encore, horrible album. What was that one with the American flag on the front? Revival. Oh my God.
Yeah, nah.
Bro, the first time I heard Revival, I was on a plane, right? With my missus. We were going to Dom Rep, I think. And I literally downloaded the album so I would have it to listen to on the plane. So I refrained from listening to it, and I thought, yeah, let me save it for the plane journey. So I'm sitting there listening, and I'm going like this, skipping. My missus looked at me like, why are you skipping so much? I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever fucking heard in my life. Like, this is terrible.
No, it was terrible, man.
It was horrible, bro. Up until the point, I think he knows that that's a stain on his career, because he came back afterwards and brought out Kamikaze, and he doesn't normally do that.
Yeah, that was kind of decent though. That weren't bad.
So yeah, that's an okay. I wouldn't say that that's a great album, brilliant album, classic, close. But considering what he came from with the Revival album, that album was okay. It was better than that bullshit he released, and he knew it was crap because that's why he did it.
Yeah, definitely.
So you'd still get Stan saying that Revival is a great album. I never forget, right? There was some idiot on Twitter who said he had put up a tweet saying, "I'm riding around, driving, listening to Revival. It's a great album, blah, 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 blah," right? Someone thankfully screenshotted that, because later on down the line, because he saw all the flack that the album was getting, he changed his mind and he was like, "Oh, the album's terrible, rare." So someone was like, but last week you said this, and put up the picture saying, "Oh, how great the album is." So this goes to show, bro, these people just say stuff because, I don't know, they ain't got a girl, I don't know, they ain't got nothing going on at home, so they just say stuff to get people mad or to get people talking to them because no one else will. So they would say whatever. You can't ever look me in the eye and tell me, you know, these albums are classics that Eminem's dropped like recently. You can't. You just physically can't tell. So stands on the culture is an absolute negative. They're annoying. They serve no justice to the artist that they're standing over either.
Exactly.
I have a lot more respect for someone. A Nicki Minaj fan, for instance, if they came to me, or not came to me, but if they said on the timeline or whatever, Nicki was fire when she was in the early days when she was actually rapping, I'll be like, yeah, I'll agree with you. But if you're telling me now in 2022 that Nicki's the greatest and this and that, and she's better than the bed and all this shit, I'm sorry, but no. If you're comparing her to Migos and all these kind of people, then okay. But if you're comparing her to Queen Latifah, to MC Lyte, to Rage, to Rah Digga, to all these kind of people, Lauryn Hill, then it's a completely different conversation. But you can't have these conversations with stans because they don't have any link to the culture the same way that we do. So if we're talking, we will talk objectively. There's loads of stuff we don't agree on, more stuff we do. But when we disagree, we're not like, "Oh, you dickhead, how could you not say that is this?" Or we would have an objective conversation. I like this. I didn't like that. Or I don't like this. Try it again, bro. Like, it's gonna be great. I swear. You missed this or whatever. That's how a normal conversation will go. But a stan, it's just like, you don't know enough. I've had like, must be, I don't know, teenagers, white kids telling me I don't understand Kendrick. What's it?
To Pimp a Butterfly.
Like how can you as a white teenager tell me that you understand that album better than me? Honestly, you can't. But again, stans say all kinds of shit to prop their artist up. But it has the opposite effect, because as you just said, it puts me off listening to that artist because it makes me think I don't want to be in the same pool with these guys. I don't want to be associated with these kind of people. So yeah, it puts me off the artist, and it makes me analyze their music slightly differently as well. If you're going to say an album is a classic and then I listen to it and it's absolutely awful, then it's going to make me have some thoughts about that artist. You know what I mean?
100%, man. 100%. I think it's really valid what you said about the culture, like what you're saying, even us disagreeing on some things, agreeing on some things. But what I always say is that the fact is that we want to see the culture furthered. That's the key. You know what I mean? You can love this thing of ours, as I like to say. There's gonna be people you like, don't like, whatever. But what we ultimately want is for the culture to be furthered. A stan don't care about the culture, like you said. They want their artist to be furthered. And that's it. And that's where the lack of objectivity comes, because the love for the culture, the care for the culture,
it doesn't exist, bro. They don't listen to anything outside of that artist. So how can you objectively say X is better than Y if you don't know what Y is? It's like people that say the 80s was trash. So I just sit there like, how could you possibly say the 80s was trash? That was literally the decade where hip hop started in the 70s, right? Yeah. In the 80s is when hip hop came to the fore. Big Daddy Kane, BDP, De La Soul, Rip, Ultramag. I could go on and on and on. Run DMC, like the biggest like hip hop group ever at one point in time in life. Like they had us wearing Adidas, they had us doing all kinds of shit, right? Because we cared about the culture. It wasn't just Run DMC. It was Run DMC. It was all the other guys that I mentioned. they are the reason hip hop is where it is today. Like, because of that resurgence from the 70s into the 80s, moving from the disco era into hip hop, into where hip hop then became the voice of the streets and all that good stuff, right?
Yeah, yeah.
As a fan of the culture, I can embrace and appreciate all of that. These people that just listen to one artist, you can't talk to me about hip hop because you don't know anything outside of that artist that you listen to. So can't have an objective conversation. And if I can't do that, then I don't want to talk to you about anything to do with hip hop.
No, definitely that, man.
So here's one for you. Closet stands. Right?
Yeah.
I have more. I have no respect for stands, as we probably established already in this video. But I have more respect for an actual stan who would hold that shit up with their chest than I do for a closet stan who would say, oh, stans are this and that. But then secretly, if I say anything about, as we said, Jay-Z or Nas, you're the first fucker in there talking about, but this or
they don't interact with anything else, but as soon as like certain names are mentioned,
you're there. So for me, you're worse because you don't even accept the fact that you're a stan, but everyone else can see it. But you're there, like every tweet that's aimed at Jay, you're there. You appear out of nowhere. Don't see you for, you know what I mean, for the rest of the year. I say Jay-Z is shit. You're the first one, like, because it stands are worse for me, bro. What do you think?
No, I agree with you, man. Like you said, they almost like they assign themselves to become defenders of their artist. Like literally, I've got people in mind. Like you mention anything, you won't see them as soon as you say something about that, and there's no like tweets on their feed either. Do you know what I mean? Only replies. Like they don't tweet or anything. It's like they just watch the timeline. It's like a bat signal. Like something comes up. And they're like, nah. And it's like the cake goes on.
The symbol.
I'm telling you, man. They throw it up. They're out, boy, defending. And it's like I don't even do that. And you know what I mean? Like the reason I say I is because, as I said, he's my GOAT. And I don't even do that with certain MCs. But it's like, I just don't get that mentality. Like you said, own it if that's what you're doing. Don't diss them and then be like that. Do you know what I'm saying? It just needs to be eradicated because there's a knock-on effect in so many different ways. Because even as you're talking, I'm thinking it's frustrating and I don't say this egotistically, but there are definitely, like I said with football, do you know what I mean? I say I'm a fan, but there are definitely people who are just sort of like observers of the culture. You know what I'm saying? And there are vultures of the culture. And if you look at vultures, what they doing? They're lurking, looking for something they can just feed on. You know what I'm saying? And there's people like that look on the culture like that. They don't care about the culture. So what does that do for people that love the culture? It makes them want to defend the culture. You see what I'm saying? So I hear a lot of talk about people say about gatekeepers and this and that and should there be, there shouldn't be.
We need it.
But that's the thing. We feel like we need it because of things like this. You see what I'm saying? No one's saying you can't have your favorites. Of course, I'd be insane to say not to have your favorites. Have your favorites, man. That's what this is. Even if I say who do you prefer, A or B, someone's like, oh, why are you putting them against each other? Why are you comparing them? I'm not.
Yeah,
they're just talking about, you know what I mean? Oh, blah, blah, blah. We do that all the time. I remember the track, the name's gone for me now, but Conway on his last album. Benny's album.
We were talking about Conway and Benny. And they were like, why are you comparing them? It's like they
and even they addressed it. Yeah, even they addressed it. Listen, you know what it was like when you was rapping or whatever. If you didn't have that healthy competition, like with your people, something was wrong. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter what he was doing. Yeah, whether it was drawing or your clothes or rapping or who had the most CDs or who had the most newest one.
Who had the freshest Jordans. There's always
right.
That.
You see what I'm saying? So there's have your favorites, have your little like, you know what I mean, who's better, blah blah blah. Nothing's wrong with that. It's all sparking conversation. It's all upholding and bigging up the culture. There's nothing wrong with that. You see what I'm saying? But when you constantly are doing things that is actually tearing the culture down in the sense of not having a care for it or love for it and only making a beeline for that one thing that you want, then you feel like you need to defend the culture, and then it becomes like a us against them. And ultimately, that's going to work against the culture. So, and I think Eminem, in his, I don't even know what word to use. I say in his wisdom at that stage, addressed that. You see what I'm saying? He addressed it to fans, but it's in the culture now. And it's just weird because he's the one who started it, and it's like he's probably got the worst stands. You see what I'm saying? And it's like they just don't get it, man. But definitely something that needs to be done away with. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to ask you something actually. So we're looking at stands in a sense of unhealthy love or obsession towards an artist. Yeah. Do you agree that it can also happen in the flip as well? Like,
what, in a good way?
No, in a way of like we're saying about the whole bat signal thing, and sometimes you just say something against someone, people come out from under the rock. There are people like that for the flip. Like they always they almost stand on their hate for an artist. You see what I'm saying? Like they always feel like they've got to, how can I put it, man? They always feel like they've got to chime in and tear certain artists down that the culture love. You see what I'm saying? I put that in the same bag. Prodigy, I've seen a few, like anything. Like it's almost like that kind of, you see someone being upheld and celebrated in the culture, and you feel like, oh, now's my opportunity. No disrespect, I'm not talking about someone like Drake or anything like that, because I know loads of people in the culture don't like Drake, and you understand that because there are some people that say, he's not even a rapper, he's a pop artist. I'm not talking about someone like Drake or Nicki, because that's easy. I'm talking about people that the culture, like you said, like Prodigy or other people, people that the culture respects. You can almost get people that's doing the same thing, trying to tear it down.
Like the other day, when there was this thing about choose who's got to go, the usual bullshit. But it was like Biggie, Jay-Z, Nas, and J. Cole. And then it was like,
saw that.
Then it was like, who do you choose to go? So then that invited dickheads to come onto that tweet and then try and disparage Jay, try and disparage Nas, try and disparage Biggie. When it's quite obvious who the weakest MC out of those four is. But that then gives dickheads an excuse to be, Biggie and Jay weren't lyrical. Like, how could you?
This is what I mean. Yeah.
How on earth could you possibly arrive at that conclusion unless you don't know what the fuck you're talking about?
You ain't listened to them.
How could you say Nas has to go above J. Cole? Like, J. Cole wrote a whole song talking about how he needs to impress Nas. And you're telling me that J. Cole is a better MC than Nas. On no planet is J. Cole a better MC than Nas. Ever will be a better MC than Nas. Simple. Nas wrote a song in reverse for flip's sake. Like, let's just cut the bullshit there and then. Like, J. Cole is not achieving that level ever. Simple. He's not achieving Ready to Die. He's not achieving Life After Death. He's not achieving Blueprint. He's not achieving Reasonable Doubt. He's not achieving Illmatic. He's not achieving Lost Tapes. I can go on and on and on and on and on. So you're absolutely right in that it invites these dickheads to come into conversations that they got no point being in to offer an opinion. I saw the other day someone had put up something about who's the queen of hip hop or something. One of our good friends of the show, SP, shout out to you, Shwana, big love. She said Queen Latifah. I'll back that. You know what I mean? She really has claims to be the queen of hip hop, 100%. Some dickhead goes, starts talking something about Nicki Minaj, and she's like, nah, not for me, right? So he then goes on and on and on to the point he's threatening to beat women up over the.
You're joking.
I swear, like this is a grown, well, supposedly grown man. I'm guessing still lives with his parents or whatever. Probably your single mum, whatever. But he made it a point to jump into a conversation. All she did was reply with her opinion on who the queen is. He's then jumped in to say, no, you're wrong. It's got to be this. She's like, no. Respectfully, she was like, no, not for me. He then takes it to the point where he's then having to threaten her because she was gunning him, and we were getting involved and saying what an asshole he was.
I didn't see one bit of this. I saw the question, but I didn't see none of that.
You ran him off the timeline. He ended up blocking us all or whatever. Whoever you are, suck your mother. Simple. For you to be threatening to beat up women over the opinion of a rapper, you've sunk to the depths of the ocean. Like there's nothing you could say to anybody after that, because that's always going to be there. And this kind of stannery where you feel that you have to offer to throw hands. Really?
That's
like,
mad.
is this where we're at? Honestly, so
That's insane. I didn't see none of that.
Yeah. It was there, man.
But this is what I mean. These questions are put, and we know some of the. I don't know who asked the question. I say it respectfully, but and I'm probably a culprit for that as well. You know what I mean? But some of the questions that are asked is very like, it's probably been asked a million times, and you get that. But I can honestly stand down and think of the question that's never been asked before. Sometimes it's just stuff that you're thinking about, like, I wonder what people think of this, and you genuinely throw it out there. So you're asking questions like, who do you think's the best female MC or queen pop, whatever? You're asking just general questions, and then once again, because people are stans, don't know how to have mature conversations.
Yeah,
it gets to that. Do you know what I'm saying? And this is what I mean. This is a perfect example of someone who cares more. You know why? This is how I see it, right? You may not agree, all right, but this is how I see it. If you're looking at people like Queen Latifah, Nicki Minaj, right? Now, if someone said to me Nicki Minaj is a better rapper than Queen Latifah, do you know what? I wouldn't even be offended, right? Forget all the poppy music that she's making. If we're just talking like just rapping, and someone said Nicki Minaj is a better rapper than Queen Latifah, I wouldn't even be offended. I'd be like, oh, cool, I get that. But people respond the way this guy responded that don't care for the culture. Because if you care about the culture, there's no way you're going to disrespect Queen Latifah like that. Not saying she has to be a favorite,
or the woman
that's tweeting it. Exactly. Who cares about the culture? Right, exactly. But that whole argument came about because they probably felt like SP's response was stupid, or who's Queen Latifah to Nicki Minaj? Like we said on the episode with Beans, shout out to Beans as well, when we was talking about MC Light, when I said she's never been like a favorite MC of mine. But would I say that she's one of the greatest? I'd have to say yes, because of her impact on the culture and what she means to the culture. You see what I'm saying? So this is what I mean. When you're a stan, all you care about is that person. Guarantee that person is obsessed with Nicki Minaj. They don't care about the culture. They care about Nicki Minaj. You see what I'm saying? And this is what is bringing damage to the culture. It's tearing it apart because people ain't caring about the further.
Do you think it is damaging the culture though? Because these people aren't part of the culture. These people are outsiders. These people aren't buying me. They like let's be completely flat out real. Okay. If we didn't have access to all these songs on our phones, 90% of these hip hop Twitter accounts wouldn't exist because they wouldn't have access to listen to the music.
Right.
Exactly. The only reason
they probably weren't old enough when it came out.
Right. And they're not going to go back and buy like a lot of these people are buying vinyl so they can take a picture and put it up on Twitter and say, look at what I got.
And then they put it back.
Probably try to sell it on eBay like the next day or whatever. Just ridiculous people, bro. Like this kind of social media opens you up to, my brethren said it, I think I said it before in another show, that the internet has given a voice to the stupid, right? And I've never forgotten how spot on that sentence was, because it's so true. So if we never had Spotify, if we never had Apple Music, never had iTunes, whatever, then we wouldn't hear these people's opinions because they wouldn't have access to the music. You very rarely hear people talking about Mark Harmony because they can't get his music. His music get on streaming. You know what I mean? You got to spend $200 to get most of it or whatever. So you're not going to hear people talking about his discography because they don't have it. Simple. When Snoop took all the Death Row stuff off streaming and people are losing their shit, and I'm like, I've had these albums since I was flipping how old? Yeah, like, why are
multiple
you
copies?
Multiple copies. Like, why are you tripping over him taking that stuff down? Do what you're doing. You own it. You can do what you want with it. Why are you tripping over him taking it down? It's because you now don't have access to it, so you can't talk about it. You can't whatever. I can talk about stuff because A, I've bought it. B, I've been a part of this for longer than a lot of these people have been alive. First of all. So I'm no authority on hip hop. I love the culture and I can talk about what I know. I'm always learning shit every day from 100%. People that I respect. So because I'm part of the culture, I want to learn more. I want to do more, be part of it. It's part of life. It's part of life. That's why people are watching this now. That's why we can talk about this for however long you've had a Twitter account. Some people are saying they've their Twitter account since 2009 or whatever. So they've been talking about hip hop for over a decade on a daily basis. Like this is how the culture lives and survives and thrives and grows. These people that are fans of one artist, they're not part of that culture, bro. You take away,
I hear that.
Take away Spotify, they have nothing to contribute at all.
No, it's true. Very true.
They're not. Simple.
No, I hear that, and that's right. So yeah, so maybe not. Sorry, go on, what you say?
So why do we care what they think about whatever?
I think it goes. You're right. You don't, but it goes back to what you said earlier. What Killer said a few times about like being in the mall with everyone. Do you know what I'm saying? It's that where it's not that you care, you particularly don't, but because you care for the culture. When you see those things, they annoy you. And yeah, you can go, you know what I mean? You can go and block, yes. But sometimes it's just like, and I found myself sometimes, I ain't even gonna lie, I've been a bit short with people in my responses because I've read them coming from like a stan or like a person who don't really care for the culture. Then you've had a little bit more of a conversation. You're like, no, it's not even that. You're like, so I can't talk for anyone, but I know for me sometimes it puts you on the defensive because you're just out there open. You can't. I was thinking about it today actually. Like, you can choose, but you don't really get the choice to sort of just choose who you talk to. I know you do. You don't need to respond to everyone. But you know what I'm saying? When you're in a conversation or when you're with your people or you're at school or whatever, you would have your go-to circle, innit? But now, if you talk about something online, unless you've got a blocked account or something like that, let's be honest, you're opening up invitation for anyone to converse with you, which is fine. That's how loads of people have met online that you're now cool with because you just have a good conversation. You meet someone that you might not have met in physical person because you're not even in their vicinity. So we get it. So you like that open dialogue. But on the flip side, it also invites a lot of people, like we're talking about today, that don't care for the culture. And it can frustrate you and it can annoy you. Like the situation that happened with SP, you think, right, she shouldn't have had to go through that. Do you know what I mean? I didn't even see that, but I hear you saying Bear Man jumped in and sorted it out. Cool. But it's one of those things, do you know what I mean? Got him off the timeline, whatever. But it's one of those things where it's like you always feel like you have to put the cape on and defend hip hop. You know what I mean? Like you defend what you love, yes, but you just want to enjoy this thing and embrace who enjoys it. Come like Talib Kweli. Like I know a lot of people don't check for him and blah blah blah, but man, his Twitter though was like all he was doing was arguing and fighting with people. I'm like, bro,
every day.
There's got to be more to life than that, man. How are you not like severely stressed? Like I'm probably glad when his Twitter was like locked off because I couldn't do that.
That was painful.
And I see some people, man, they're just right. And I see people sometimes they're just arguing with people all day long, like defending the culture and blah blah blah. And I just think, man, look, you lot, man, just stand who you're standing, create a fan account,
stands and all, like go be dickheads over there, that's fine. But when we're talking about actual MCs, actual discographies, actual impact, actual contributions to the culture, then don't become nonsense. And like you said, like there's been so many times, bro, I can't even tell you, like there's been so many times where I've started to write something in response and I'm like, do you know what, I'm on like 17th account by now, telling people about themselves. So I've been like, you know what, have it. I'm gonna delete this. I ain't gonna get into no nonsense with someone online. Leave it alone. But there's been so many ridiculous things being said, and like just that whole J. Cole thing and whatever the other day. It was just, come on, man. Like on no planet could you honestly believe this. Preference is totally fine. Right. Prefer what you want. I don't care. When we're making like sensible comparisons, keep all that shit at the door. Because I can say Redman's my favorite MC. Is he greater than Big? No. Big's been dead a very long time. Redman's still going. But if we compare their peaks, then Big will still be my favorite. But I can still say he's better than Redman, even though Redman is one of my favorites. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's anything that will change. But I think with maturity, definitely I've definitely learned to ignore more than I respond to. Most of the time, if I'm responding, if I tweet something, it's just to wind up the dickheads. That's it. Like I'm not really sitting around thinking of a way that I could tweet about Eminem or Ja Rule or one of those fools. Like I just literally will say something to piss off some idiots and then get them off my timeline.
Yeah, I was going to say, and you do your cleansing.
Bye. So to close out the show, who do you think has the worst stan base in hip hop?
Okay, man. I mean, to state the obvious,
give me your top 5 dickhead stan base.
Okay, okay. To state the obvious, Eminem. I will say Eminem. I'm gonna say Jay-Z as well. Do you know what I'm saying?
Really?
Definitely.
The homosexual.
Yeah, yeah, right. Yeah, you know what I mean. So, I'd say I'm gonna say, and these obviously I like most of these artists. I'm just saying their fan base. I'm gonna say Little Kim as well. Yeah, you can't say anything about Kim. Like, yeah, definitely look out for that. You'll see it. So, Eminem, Jay-Z, Little Kim.
Say
that again.
I might tweet something about her short ass later.
Right, watch it. Watch the comeback you get. It's actually funny. I know it's not hip hop, so I might be cheating, but I'm gonna say Beyonce as well. She has can't say anything about her as well. Quite a nice fan base. And then I'm gonna probably go with Kendrick Lamar as well. And so just to clarify, these are artists that I feel their stan base is the most annoying because you can't reason with them. Not saying every fan of them, obviously not. Like I mentioned Jay-Z. Do you know what I mean? So if you're watching and you're a big fan of those artists, I'm not talking about you. If you're a stan of those artists to the point where you can't reason anything to do with those artists, then yes, I'm talking about you and sort it out. Yeah, that's what I mean. So they're my 5, man.
I'm not saying no names.
Off the top.
I'm not saying no names, but if it applies, then it's about you. Them ones.
There you go.
I didn't say no names, but if you think it applies, then it's about you. Okay, so Eminem, first of all, definitely worst fan base. As I said, there's 100% a racial element to his fan base, as we know.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, let's keep it 100%.
And he knows as
the
well.
reason they're propping him up, he's the same color as them. We know that. And I just want people to be honest. If they can come out and go, I like Eminem because he's white, then I'll respect you a whole lot more than if you're just saying he's the greatest to ever done it. The rap god, he's this. Because I know subliminally what you're trying to say. So come out and let's have a real discussion about why you think he's the greatest to ever do it. I'll be more than happy if you can give me a case of why someone who hasn't been fired in 20 years is the greatest in hip hop. I'll be more than happy to have that conversation.
Bro, like we were saying, one second here. You know why I want to back that up as well? I remember when Jamaica was in the World Cup, bro. I don't care who Jamaica's playing. I just want to see them win. Why? Because it's Jamaica, isn't it? Do you know what I'm saying? So it's something you can relate to. So if you're a white hip hop fan and you see Eminem coming, he's doing well, and you want him to win for that reason, then just say it. I don't think anyone will respect you less. Like, it's true.
I'd respect you a lot more. I'd respect you a lot more if you came out with why. If that's your we know that that's your reason. So if you came out and was like, I support this dude because I want to see the white man win, fine. But when you start coming up with all this other bullshit that is just nonsense, we know what the real reason is. So let's just be honest and frank and just talk about it, because that's what the real issue is here. When we see people on the timeline disparaging Eminem, it's not because of Eminem. It's not because of the man himself. It's because of his terrible music over the last few years, and it's because of his fan base. That is it. That is it. You rarely find people that say that they hate Eminem or they don't like the man himself.
Yeah, exactly.
What has he done? He hasn't done anything to piss anyone off. He's shown respect. So him first. Nicki Minaj second. Her fan base is something different. I don't know where that came from. I don't know where it started at. I don't know nothing about why it exists, but it's there. Say a word about the woman, and then you get all these teenagers talking all this nonsense and talking about stuff that they got. Like, okay, then explain to me what a bar is. Explain to me an 8-bar song, or explain to me a 16-bar verse. So something like that. they will be able to tell you what a bar is, but they're talking about she's got bar, she's got syllables and all this. I'm like, you don't even know what you're talking about. You're just rehashing something you saw in the timeline earlier. Kanye West, number 3.
Yeah,
his fan base is the most delusional fan base on earth. It's actually painful to watch his people doing all kinds of maneuvers to try and back this guy amidst all the nonsense that he carries on with. It's quite hilarious and painful at the same time to watch in real time. You lot need to find a hobby that is quite pathetic. Next, whose fan base would I say is problematic? Next, I want to say J. Cole's, and the reason for that is because, again, I've got no problem with J. Cole himself. I think he comes across as a really nice, down-to-earth, married, children. I just enjoy rapping. He loves the culture. He just seems like a real chill guy. I want to play basketball and I want to rap, and I want you lot to leave me alone. He's carved himself a great career. I don't know how he did it, especially with the no features and all of this. I don't know how he's managed to achieve what he has. Rock Nation probably has a lot to do with it. But some of his music is cool, but he's no god MC, man. Like, let's stop with the nonsense. He's just not that. He's not a god MC. He's a good rapper. He's a 6 out of 10 as far as I'm concerned. He's cool, but I'm not gonna run to throw on a J. Cole album, man, because there's just so much better out there. And his fans keep making it out like he's some prophet, or he's so profound, or he's so deep. And I've listened to his stuff, and I'm just like, where are you getting this from? He's not saying anything. He's not making a Dead Prez type of album. Do you know what I mean? Where you're talking about the black struggle and Africa and black unity and this and that. He's not making that kind of music. So where are you getting this from, that he's some messiah? Like, I don't understand it. Drake's fan base don't really piss me off, because I think they know that they're dickheads. I think they know when they call themselves Six God and they get hearts cut into their hair and stuff like that. I think
you don't see them much. Yeah, what you mean?
Yeah, I don't see them creating havoc or anything like that. I just hear them.
True.
I just hear them trying to big him up and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, that's fine. But you've got a heart in your head, so there's no way I could take anything you say seriously. So I don't really have much of a problem with his fan base. Nas's fan base is quite annoying as well. Like, Nas's stands are very annoying, to the point where someone tried to tell me I hated Nas, and I'm like, where are you getting this from, bro? Like, tell me. He's like, oh, because you said he only had 3 classics or something like that. So I'm like, dickhead, let's analyze what you've just said. I've given the man 3 classic albums. How can I hate him? I own everything he's ever put out. I own the t-shirts. I own all kinds of shit. I've seen him live. You probably haven't. How can you tell me I hate him if I've given him 3? How is that possible?
Exactly, man.
This is what
so many people don't get 1.
Right. You'd be lucky if let's say we was rappers, right? And we had one album that was held up as a 5 mic classic album. I'll be over the moon with that, because I've done what I set out to do. So for you to do that 3 times, that's a hell of an achievement in my book. But because I never said that he's got 10 classics, then I hate him. Like this is from a grown man as well, a grown ass man to me.
Nas stands, they do that. You're right, man. Same with me. I said that he wasn't in my top 5. Boy, yeah. People are passing out. Like, what? I was told that I can't even what's they say? I can't like hip hop or something like that if he's not in my top 5. I'm like, okay, cool. I don't like hip hop.
But then you got to think and be like, who am I talking to here? Who am I actually responding to? Probably somebody who's never left their city. Someone who's just in the house, like, you know what I mean, still having to ask their mum what's for dinner. Them kind of people. You can't really be mad at someone who doesn't hold someone in the exact same esteem as you hold them. That literally doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
So, but a very lively episode, I would say. It's all love at the end of the day. Apart from if you're a stan, then it ain't no love.
Right.
So I hope I made that very clear. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you check us out again next week where we've got another topic lined up for you. So from me, as always, and my co-host extraordinaire up in the building, once again,
E Major, nothing but love. Appreciate you tuning in until next week, man. So yes, Stanism, man knows hip hop podcast knows and celebrates hip hop, man. So yeah, keep supporting. Leave the Stanism at home, but keep supporting and keep bigging up the culture, man. But yeah, nothing but love. Appreciate you tuning in, man.
Yeah, man. Peace. Respect, and as always, love to the fans, and absolutely nothing to the stands. Peace. See you next time.